Hi guys, welcome to another watercolor tutorial. I'm going to be attempting to paint like this more detailed evergreen tree inspired by brukhisart. So the evergreen tree is going to be the focal point, obviously, and the background is just going to be very rough, so don't focus too much on it, but inevitably I will because I can't help it. I just get way too invested in things that don't matter. So, you know, in hindsight, okay, really quickly, I'm just going to change something. I want this to be a little more square-like. So I'm just adding tape to the borders here. That's more of what I want. Okay, so I have this bluish gray color on my paintbrush. And I'm going to apply that to probably like half. And just want to be sure that that horizon line is as straight as possible, but don't get too hung up on it. And then we're going to do the same thing for like this section that's going to slope upwards like this. It doesn't have to be this dark. I would have made it much lighter, but it's just what was on my paintbrush. I do want it to be a little more evenly sloping up, if you know what I mean. Something like that. Okay. And then this center part, we have to sort of wait, I think, for these guys to dry. So no, we're not. Yes, we are. Yes, okay, let's wait, let's let this dry. So I'm grabbing a slightly smaller brush this time, adding a little bit more blue to my gray, and I'm gonna have this, please be dry, please be dry. Gonna just run this across the base of the horizon line. I think this is supposed to be a lake, but it doesn't really matter what it is. Now I'm gonna mix some brown, since it's on my palette, into this color that I was using. And I'm gonna, okay, that is way too much. I wanted it to be a little more gray than that. And I'm running this along the bottom base. And then I'm gonna rinse my brush. I did a pretty poor job at rinsing it. And I'm gonna blend these two together. It kind of dried way quicker than I was anticipating. Okay, there we go. Very good. What I'm gonna do, because this part, I want it to be a little bit whiter. So what am I gonna do? I am going to take white watercolor and run it along the base here. And that did absolutely nothing, obviously, because it's watercolor. So I'm gonna take white acrylic paint and run that, which also is doing nothing because it's wet. So I'm gonna let this dry, guys, and then I'm gonna do something about it. Okay, I just realized real quick, I kind of started blow drying. I hope I remember to edit that out. I forgot that I wanted to add these streaks for water. It's kind of half dry, so it's not really given the same effect that I would like. That's okay. Not a big deal. Let's let this dry. So hopefully this is dry. I'm taking that white acrylic paint and I'm running that along the water's edge, I guess you could say that this is. I just had a flashback to the apartment we rented when we first lived together. Times were so much simpler back then. We would just go for walks to the lake pier and just contemplate life. And now life is so much more complicated than it once was. I know my viewership, people that watch my videos are like more in the seniors category. I appreciate you guys, but if you are like someone in your teens watching this, don't grow up too fast. Just enjoy where you are, because life gets so much harder. And then you'll be wondering why you wanted to grow up. I'm taking blue and okay, this is nice. When you kind of paint into wet acrylic paint, it creates this sort of smooth texture. Smooth operator. Smooth operator. Okay. I'm gonna also take that white acrylic paint and just add it everywhere, honestly, because I'm really enjoying that smooth texture. Although I just realized that if I try to paint watercolor over this, which I have to because I'm painting a tree, it's not going to work out too well. So that was probably not a very good idea. But too late. So we're going to let this dry. I spent way too much time on the background because now we're going to paint the pine trees. Okay, my friends. I'm going to take some gray mixed with brown and paint my first pine tree. And I'm purposely using like a lighter color so that I could go over it later if I wish. But you know, it's not, oh my gosh. There's a mosquito in here. I thought it got trapped in the baby tub that's hanging on the wall, and I thought it wouldn't be able to get out because it's not the brightest creature, but got it. Got it, yeah. We are in mosquito season, my friends. We live in a forest, and every time you open the door, you are letting in the wrath of the bloodsucker. So I've purposely left gaps here because I'm gonna have greenery coming through. But off of each one of these, whatever you want to call it, whatever these are, I'm gonna have branches coming out. It doesn't have to be on each one, and there can even be gaps left if you wish. Smooth operator. Okay. I'm not really sure if this is going to work out for me, but you don't know if you don't try. And see, I can really see the effect of the acrylic paint here. Not good. I'm going to try and blend the base out a bit of my tree. I have a little shading going on. Okay, and now we can pick up our green and just start plopping on the colors. So I'm going to start with the tip. It's easiest to do that. You have a nice little reference to go off of. And there's so many ways to paint evergreens. What I'm going to try and do is have like a line coming out and then painting these little hairlines coming from underneath it. Sort of like this. Smooth operator. Coast to coast, LA to Chicago. I'm really choosing the long tutorials today. I mentioned this in the tutorial I painted before this one. I don't know what order these are going to be released, but usually it's Saturday, and my husband is he takes care of our daughter most of the day on Saturday so that I can paint, like batch paint. And today he had to go help a friend with something. So I was left with my daughter, and I was like, I'm not going to, like, I really want to keep on top of my schedule here. So once she went down for a nap, I took advantage and I started painting. Now, her naps lately are kind of unpredictable. She used to sleep like a consistent 1.5 to 2.5 hours for her naps, but now it's kind of, sometimes she'll wake up after 5 minutes. But she's been sleeping now for 1.5 hours, so I really gotta pick up the pace here because she might just wake up and then I have to stop. But yeah, usually in this amount of time I could have painted 2 or 3 tutorials, and I'm only on the second one. Not even done the second one. So the first one was, I think, 1 hour long, but it's beautiful. Like, I am very happy with it. So I'm happy that we took the extra time to do that. And this one, we'll see how long this one takes. I'm going in here and adding a bit of black. Just to give this a little bit of depth. This is a very different version of how I usually paint my evergreens. Like, it's very, very different. And I kind of like it. I'm digging this style, but this makes, the background doesn't really make sense to me, and I should have made the pine tree way bigger. I know I'm saying pine tree and evergreen tree interchangeably here. Bear with me. I'm gonna add just some random branches sticking out, because at least in the huge white pines that are growing in my forest, they have a bunch of straggling little branches sticking out. So do want to darken the tree trunk area and the subsequent branches as well. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna just move on. Like, we can come back to this tree a bit later on, but I do want to move on to the second tree. I'm gonna make the second one bigger. This one was supposed to be bigger, but I did not deliver on that front. So, okay, I'll make this one over here. This one is going to have less junctions. Is that the right word? It's going to be more exposed. Don't forget to add our branches. So this one's gonna have a lot more branches. The ones at the bottom are not as angled upwards. They're kind of more sloping horizontally to the, or parallel to the ground. But as we move upwards, they will be more like, oh, if you know what I mean. Like sloping towards the sky, like this. And I'm trying to add some more branches to this one, maybe. This isn't bigger. I was supposed to make it bigger. Maybe I can add volume by just beefing up the whatchamacallit, the greenery on this thing. So I'm trying to do the same technique that I used for the other tree. I need to look and see when I started Christmas tutorials last year, because those last like a full month. And I already painted some Christmas tutorials for November, but I don't paint in the same order that I release these things. I kind of just see what I painted and what makes sense for the dates that are available to release, if you know what I mean. So I'll have to see. And I wanted to, like, I think I did it way too early. I literally did it the first week of November. And I think, isn't Thanksgiving in the States in late November? Aren't you supposed to wait for Christmas stuff until after then? I don't know. You guys have some interesting traditions. Most of my viewers are American. But I like the Canadian Thanksgiving date a lot more, because Thanksgiving to me is a very autumn holiday, and from what I've seen in pictures, like Americans have their Christmas trees up during their Thanksgiving, and that is very unique. I feel like you're not separating the two holidays, you're kind of joining them in a way. So I'm not trying to bash your holiday, I'm just talking about the differences, I guess. My preferences. My preference is, like, our Thanksgiving is mid-October. It kind of falls on a different date every year. But I like that a lot more because, you know, it's pumpkins, turkey, that's the theme, not Christmas trees yet. And then there's also Remembrance Day in there. And I mean, we're no better. Like, I've seen people in Canada put their Christmas tree up on November 1st. Which, you know what? Get in the what do you call it? Spirit. Like, if you're feeling that, nobody should dampen your mood. You do you. But when I was growing up, I'm Polish, my parents are Polish. The tradition in Poland is you don't put up the tree until December 24th because it's a religious holiday. So, you know, Jesus is born on the 25th. I don't know if that's actually accurate, if he was actually born on the 25th, but I'm not about to get into a theological debate here. All I'm saying is in Poland, the celebrations start at Jesus's birth. So that's when you put your tree up. It's not like, oh, December 26th, Christmas is over. No, Christmas begins the 24th and it lasts until like the three kings reach Jesus, which is, I don't know if it's like mid-January or beginning of February. I don't really remember, but yeah, so I would always have to wait so long to put my tree up. All the other kids were like already celebrating with their trees and putting their trees up, but it was fun because it was after like a few years my mom kind of let me put the tree up as soon as school broke for Christmas break, which was usually around the 21st, somewhere around there. So it was a lot of fun because it's like, okay, last day of school, I get to go home and put the tree up and wrap gifts. It was good memories. So, all right, these trees look decent, but the issue that I'm having is the background does not look holiday-y whatsoever. Also, I just realized I put my tape on not very, it's kind of like a trapezoid, but what are you gonna do? I'm gonna take brown and perhaps, well, first of all, I'm going to darken a part of this and lighten another part of this tree trunk to give it a bit of contrast. Same with this one. Or maybe if I take white, that will probably work better. Anyway, I'm focusing on details that don't really matter. I do have to make a shadow here because I made it on the other tree. Something like that. And then I might just do like the side of a pine tree here. Like I'll have part of the stump sticking out here, and it'll something like that. In fact, I don't know, I'm kind of tempted to not even paint greenery there. Just leave it like that. What do you guys think? Well, I guess you don't really have a say. I'm gonna paint maybe just like a straggler of a tree here. My daughter is being very generous right now by sleeping longer. Okay, so that's not too bad, but now I can't forget I have to add the shadows. Like you can't add shadows for one tree and not for the others. So it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, you know what? I think I might just leave it because I like how that looks. I like that it's very rough looking on the edge. Now, one thing I'm gonna do that I wasn't planning on doing, but I tend to do this when I feel like something's missing from a painting, but I just can't figure out what it is, or I'm lazy. And that is watering down acrylic paint and making it snow. And this to me always adds some extra pizzazz. Although right now I think I need more acrylic paint because I watered it down to the point where nothing is showing up. Oh, my daughter's awake, I think. Unless I'm hearing things again. I wouldn't be surprised if this tapping woke her up. Oh, I may have been hearing things. So I'm gonna take like a thinner brush and just add a bit of snow on this dead pine tree, on the branches that are sticking out. It's a very subtle detail, a subtle touch, but it's in the details, right? And I'm really kind of nervous to add the snow to my pines because I have a history of ruining pine trees by trying to add snow to them. Maybe just a little bit at the top. It's fresh snow. It's just starting to fall, so it's not going to be on the whole tree, just at the tops. Maybe a little bit at the bottom. And maybe a little bit at the base. I know this doesn't necessarily make sense, but I'm just gonna add some larger snowflakes in the sky so it makes a little bit more sense. I think it's raining really heavily, which is not good because I left my cardboard boxes outside with my seedlings, so I better go grab those. But you know what? I'm all right with this. This was just like a super simple painting, and I really like this kind of dead pine tree touch here. Not everything has to have green on it. So let me know what you guys think, but this is one of my favorite paintings in the last while. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to like this video, comment, because I love reading your comments, and I'll see you in the next one.